Good morning, everyone. We're gathered today on the traditional territory of Treaty 6, and I also would like to acknowledge the Métis people of Alberta who share a very deep connection to this land. Thank you all for coming out today. I know that our media notice was, a little vague, but I'm very excited that you've come out nonetheless to hear me talk about my 9-point plan to have you all visit albertasfuture.ca. Okay. Fair to say that there is also another issue that I'd like to address through all of you to Albertans today. There's been a great deal of speculation since the election as to my future. While politics to the south of us would suggest I have at least 20 years left in my political career, I think the advisability of that's probably a bit debatable. More to the point, having considered what I believe to be the best interests of our party, our caucus, as well as my own preferences, I'm here today to announce that I will not be leading Alberta's NDP into the next election. I have informed both the senior officers of Alberta's NDP, as well as my caucus and staff, that upon the selection of a new leader, I will be stepping down from that role. This October will be 10 years since I was first given the honor of leading our party. At the time, we were the fourth party in the legislature with a massive caucus consisting of 4 MLAs. Less than 7 months later, we had a caucus of 54 MLAs and Alberta's first NDP government. While many of those folks, and indeed myself included, never expected to be elected, let alone finding themselves in a government cabinet, we all scrambled quickly to live up to the immense privilege and responsibility the people of Alberta bestowed upon us. Now, we didn't get everything right, but we governed with integrity, an ambitious agenda, and an earnest desire to make life better for Albertans. And while this isn't the place to go down into a super deep policy rabbit hole, I will highlight just a few of the things that make me proud about my time as Premier. We approved and built the Calgary Cancer Centre, a decision that was at least a decade overdue. We stood up for the rights of working people, improving their access to unions, increasing their time off, protecting their safety in the workplace, and we were the first jurisdiction in North America to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour, making a real difference in the life of Alberta's working poor and tens of thousands of young people and their families. We secured Alberta's first pipeline to Tidewater in over 50 years, ensuring that the return to Albertans for the sale of the resources that we all own is permanently increased. We eliminated coal-fired electricity in Alberta, thereby increasing the health of countless citizens, and at the same time kickstarting our renewable energy industry to be the fastest growing on the continent, all while significantly reducing our emissions in one fell swoop. And finally, in the midst of a recession caused by the international collapse in the price of oil, and seriously folks, I did not cause that, we cut child poverty in half. But as I said, we didn't get it all right, and Albertans told us so in April of 2019. And I thought about leaving then, and there are many reasons that I did not. But the biggest is probably this. Too many people were declaring that the Alberta NDP was done, and more importantly, that Alberta was destined to revert back to being a one-party conservative state. And I knew that wasn't true. And I also knew that it would be awful for Albertans if they came to believe that it was. So 4 years later, last spring, we came so close to earning the right to lead Alberta again. We received the highest percentage of the vote that the Alberta NDP ever has. We won all of Edmonton. We won the majority of seats in Calgary. We increased our vote throughout the province, and we elected the largest official opposition in the history of this province. An opposition that is very, very ready, by the way, to take over the reins of government. But it wasn't enough, and that's why it's now time for me to leave. But if there is any one accomplishment that I can leave behind me, it's that we are not a one-party province where Albertans have no real choice about how their province is to be run. Albertans do not ever have to feel that elections and their opinions do not matter. It was that way when I started. It's not that way anymore. Not only do I leave Albertans with that electoral choice, I also am so proud to leave them with a caucus that is filled with expert, dedicated, diverse people supported by the hardest working and most skilled political staff in the country. Our NDP team will not stop fighting to make life better for all Albertans. We will fight to protect and improve our health care, to stand up for our children's right to a world-class education, to fix the housing crisis, to keep Albertan CPP safe, and to confront the reality of climate change. Now, roughly 10 years ago today, I started talking to my kids about how they'd feel if I decided to run for the leadership of Alberta's NDP. Roughly 15 years ago today, 12 years today, 10 years ago today, I listened to my husband tell me that he thought I should run for the leadership of Alberta's NDP. In both cases, my family got quite a bit more than they'd bargained for. It's been a crazy ride, but I couldn't have done it without them. I was raised by both my father and my mother to believe that public service is it's something that you should strive for throughout your life. I wish they could have been here to see some of what we've all been able to accomplish together. Either way, it wouldn't have happened. For me, without the examples that they both set, demonstrating daily the value of hard work, compassion for neighbors, the duty of compassion for neighbors, and the importance of social democratic convictions. And to all the volunteers, the activists, the donors, the canvassers, the past and current and future in Alberta's NDP, thank you. There would be no success without you. You are the strength and the foundation of our movement, and I will be forever humbled by your selfless dedication to our province. Short of having, raising, and of course regularly debating with my family, the opportunity to serve this party and this province has been the honor of my life. Over the last decade, Albertans have given me a tremendous opportunity to serve in this role, and I'm so grateful. The people of our province are bold, friendly, open, caring, and adventurous. I've learned so much from them. The land we share is the most beautiful and also sometimes the coldest place on earth. I also want to thank the people of Edmonton Strathcona who have supported me since 2008. We all live in and part of a fabulous community, and I'm so proud to call it home. Thank you to all the Albertans I've met along the way. Those who advised me, who supported me, who disagreed with me, and yes, even campaigned against me. We all love this province. I love this province, and I know that our best days are still ahead of us. Thank you, and I'm happy to take, I don't know, 1 or 2 questions.
Thank you. Just a reminder to those on Zoom, it's the raise hand function. *9 to get into the question queue. Please state your name and outlet when you have a question. We'll start with questions in the room, and I know there's a lot of folks here, so 1 question, 1 follow-up. And Janet.
Janet French from the CBC. So you've been saying for a long time that this is, you've been considering your future. When did you make this decision, and what was the deciding factor for you?
Well, I think it makes sense for any leader after an election to take stock and make a decision about what's best for them and also the party that they lead, depending on the outcome of an election. And so I said that I would do that after the election at the end of May. And I spent some time giving that genuine thought over the course of the summer. I can't say exactly when it was that I decided, but I will say it wasn't yesterday. There's no question that part of what drove my decisions around timing was the desire to lead our caucus through their first session, to ensure that there was stability as 19 of the most credible and talented new MLAs that this legislature has ever seen had a chance to get their feet wet and get used to the process. So that's why we've gone through that process now, and that's why I'm making the announcement now.
Of course, this is going to spark a leadership race, and those are double-edged swords. They can generate a lot of interest in the party, but they can also produce divisiveness. So what advice would you have for people who are vying to replace you?
Well, I would say to them that that the leadership race that is to follow is a tremendous opportunity to showcase the strength of our party, the strength of our convictions, and the talent of our caucus, as well as all those who call themselves members of the party. You know, healthy debate is fine. It's good. It's renewing, and it's good for the party. The key is what I would say to everybody is to respect the membership and to talk about the forward offer to the people of this province.
Hi, Brianna Kirsten-Smith with Global Edmonton. You spoke a little bit about the diversity in caucus. I wonder if you can step back and sort of recognize at this point your leadership in creating that, and also if you can take us inside that room when you did announce and what the reaction was from them.
Well, I'm of course very proud to have such a diverse caucus. We were very proud to run, you know, not only a gender balanced slate, and of course to secure many firsts in Alberta electoral history, even in the last election, in terms of the number of new Canadians, the number of different ethnic and multicultural groups who are represented in our caucus who had never been elected to the legislature before. And that was something that we were very, very intentional about, because to me, the folks who are elected, who sit in that building there on behalf of all Albertans, need to reflect the people that they represent if we're going to do a good job for folks. And so I was very proud about that. Today we had a very brief meeting, and you know, I will say I probably didn't hold it together quite as well as I just did this time, because we have an amazing team. But you know, I think folks did know that it was coming, even if they maybe didn't know it was coming today. I am surprised by how close we got to this announcement without everybody knowing about it. That was, frankly, one of the biggest political feats I've seen in the last decade. But anyway.
Obviously early with this announcement today, but can you speak a little bit to what you hope your legacy is and how you think maybe especially your dad would have reacted to your time and as the longest serving MLA in Alberta?
Well, I mean, there truly are a lot of policy issues, most of which, of course, happened during our time in government, but even a few of which happened in our time as opposition, that I'm proud of. But as I've said, probably the singular most important issue from which all others flow is the fact that Alberta is not a one-party province or a two-party provinces with two different shades of conservative. We are now a province where progressive, forward-looking, diverse Albertans can see and pursue their political aspirations and their public policy goals, not with a view to having other people just hear them, but with a view to winning government and seeing those policies turned into real action by their government. And that's not something we've seen in this province for almost a century. And so I'm very proud that that's the position that we're in, and I am very confident that that is the position that will continue, because as I've said, our party's never been stronger than we are right now.
Hi, it's Lisa Johnson from the Edmonton Journal. Thanks for taking our questions. I'm not going to ask you for an endorsement of a new leader, because I suspect you're going to stay clear of that, but I want to ask generally what direction you think the party should go in. You've been the face of this party for a long time. You've steered it Some have said in the last election a little bit closer to center. You gained a lot of ground in Calgary, obviously not enough to win the election, but you gained ground, some have said, by steering a little to the center. Some members of your party would probably argue that it needs to be more progressive and push more to the left. What direction do you want to see the NDP going in?
Well, I would say that in many respects, the frame that many people often try to impose on this, are we going left, are we going center, where are we there, is maybe not the best way to look at it. To me, it's about, are we listening to all Albertans? Are we representing the hopes and aspirations of the greatest number of Albertans? Are we doing it in a way that is respectful to our values? And so in terms of next steps for the party, this is why this leadership race will be very exciting. And at the end of the day, the membership will be who makes the decision. And I respect that. So I feel that I look forward to the healthy conversations that I know are going to come.
Thanks. I also wanted to ask you about a more detailed question. We're going to see a leadership race. We haven't seen any details or decisions from the party yet. How would you like to see that leadership race play out? What kind of length do you want it, is ideal to you to see a fair race? What kind of rules should be imposed in terms of who can purchase a membership and vote in that race today, for example? What kind of parameters do you want to see so that that race is fair and doesn't get sabotaged by perhaps somebody from outside of the party?
So, listen, this is a matter that will be robustly discussed by our provincial council. They are who have the authority to make those decisions. And so it really does come to the party executive and then the provincial council to make decisions around many of the matters that you've just identified. I think obviously what everybody will want to see is that we have a transparent process that has the trust and integrity of the people who are involved in it. But ultimately, the way you secure that is you respect the process, which is that provincial council will make that decision.
Hi, Rachel. It's Michelle Belfontaine from CBC. You certainly don't control the timing of the leadership race. Of course, the party does. What is your intention once a new leader is chosen? Do you tend to stay on as MLA until the end of your term?
I have no current plans to step down. But what I will say is right now what's directly in front of me is the task of leading the caucus through the next session of the legislature and then doing everything I can to support the new leader when he or she is chosen or when they are chosen. And so that's my focus right now. The thing about politics is that the daily planning or the planning cycle, the life planning cycle, is about 7 days long. So I feel that's where I'm at now. I've actually extended it past that 7 days. So yay me.
So basically, you're saying you haven't made a decision yet? Okay. And I'm also curious. I mean, obviously, you could talk to your family about your decision. Did you happen to talk to any of your predecessors in the role as NDP leader, like Brian Mason or Raj Panu, about going forward?
Well, I think I spoke with a range of folks about sort of next steps and over the course of some time. No one in particular that I would identify, but certainly I've talked to people who have been in the party for a very long time and people who have been in the party for a short time and friends, family, obviously, and caucus members and all the things. And so, but honestly, at the end of the day, it was a decision that I made myself. It's one of those things that ultimately you decide in a pretty quiet place.
Alberta today. So you are still leader until the next one's chosen. Any unfinished business, either in the party or in the legislature, that you want to take care of?
Well, of course, we're very, very concerned about the fact that the UCP is continuing to drive forward with this ridiculous plan to gamble Albertans' pensions with respect to the CPP and taking that away from them. So we will continue to fight that very hard. As you know, there's been a wide-ranging conversation about the houselessness crisis here in Edmonton and in Calgary and all across this province. And we will continue to push hard for real accountability on that issue. I have been dismayed by the level of misinformation coming from the provincial government, combined with the lack of accountability with respect to the crisis that we have. And then, of course, we know that there is a big conversation to have around our domestic energy production consumption, where we saw a crisis this weekend that, quite frankly, in my view, came from this provincial government's clear decision in 2019 to stop efforts to address a problem that everybody knew was coming, and to stick their head in the sand and to do nothing. And now we're in a greater crisis situation. So I suspect that that will also feature prominently in the conversations over the next few months.
And to go back to that question of whether you'll stay here full term, I'm wondering what factors are going into that. Are you expecting offers to pour in now that you've made an official? Are you looking at what your family wants? How the transition goes under the new leader? What will factor into that decision on how long to stick around?
Yeah, it's hard to say. Just a lot of things. There's a lot of things, and too many to list right now, I suspect. But I'll let you know if I figure it out.
Shaylan Skolsky with CTV News. Thank you for taking my question. You talked a little bit about encouraging healthy debate and the need for those conversations going forward in the leadership race. I guess what advice would you have for candidates to ensure that that healthy debate, I guess, stays healthy and to avoid division within the party?
Well, listen, debate is a function of a leadership race, and so it comes down to ensuring that while there's important conversations to have, that as much as possible that you think about a go-forward basis, and you think about ensuring that the caucus and the party comes together more united than ever at the end of the conversation. And so folks will have to make their judgment about how they engage within that context. But I do expect that most candidates will actually operate with a view to achieving those goals, ensuring that we're more united than ever at the end of this, while at the same time having a good, healthy conversation about important issues to members of Alberta's NDP.
And I'm sure the last half year, 7 or so months, has been full of a lot of reflection for you. I guess talking a little bit about the last election, I guess what lessons were learned? What went wrong? I guess what has that reflection looked like for you?
Well, it's a bit of a tough one, and I think very possibly when I have a little bit more time on my hands, which is not a thing that I've noticed yet, but when if that happens, I may well get into my own sort of analysis of what could have happened differently or better. It's hard not to, as a leader, think, oh, was there another phone call I could have made, another door I could have knocked on? But at the end of the day, I'm choosing now to focus on what we did achieve through that election. And as I've said before, we didn't win government. But in terms of our capacity to contest the next election, we are, as a party, stronger on every single front than we ever have been before. And I don't just mean our incredibly capable caucus, but also just our relationships with Albertans all across the province, our understanding of where our support is and where we need to grow it, our fiscal stability, as well as the enthusiasm of our members. So I feel that there were some good things that were achieved in that election, and I'm proud of that.
Hey, Rachel. 10 years in the top job, what are you going to miss the most?
Interesting question. These kinds of mornings with this kind of turnout from the media, because let me tell you, that happened every day. No, I mean, listen, it's an exciting job. It's remarkably meaningful. The fact that every day it's such a privilege to be in a position to make positive change, and maybe you don't get exactly what you want every day. In fact, what I learned in government, that for every one decision you looked forward to making. You had to first swim through 9 other ones that other people dumped on your plate. But nonetheless, it's a privilege to be able to move forward on the kinds of things that matter to you very much. And so that agency and that opportunity is something that very few people get, and I feel deeply blessed.
I'm wondering if we could hear some rebuttal from Lou and the kids. What are your thoughts today? And Sophie, I know you mentioned that your friends say your mother swears like a sailor, I think is what they said. Or any memories that they could share?
I think it is fair to say that one of the key takeaways from today is that my family will be relatively happier to be less in the public eye, including taking questions. But so I'm going to speak for them today. Probably the last time they'll ever let me do it.
Thanks. Graham Thompson, reporting for various media today. One thing you've been vague about, of course, MLA, what's going to happen with that is in the future, but one thing you've still been relatively vague on it, do you have any interest in any other venues, political venues, like federal politics? Does that interest you moving into the federal arena?
Absolutely not. I have no intention to pursue a federal role in elected politics.
So what, you leaving politics then altogether if you stay on as an MLA, but that has a finite term to it, and are you just leaving politics?
I am not interested in pursuing federal politics at this time, and that is the answer to that question, because I noticed some people had that question, and that is the answer to that question.
And sorry, federal politics, you going to come back in provincial politics at some level then?
No, Graham. I'm. You know, I think I've done a good amount of time, and so I think, as I say, my focus is on leading the caucus through this session and supporting the new leader as that person believes is best.
Thanks, Graham. And we're just now going to go to the patient folks on the phone. Go to the first caller. Thanks, Matt. Is Jason Markusoff.
Hi, Ms. Notley. My first question is, we saw the video, the social media video by Kathleen Ganley, widely expected to be one of the leadership candidates. You've been hearing rumors about teams organizing, gathering. Was there any pressure on your timing of this decision that the candidates were getting restless and wanted to get this going?
You know, not really. Listen, when you answer the question about your future by saying, I'm thinking about it, it is only natural that folks are going to start thinking about how their future plays into that answer. And so, you know, I've been pretty comfortable with the level of conversation going on. It's healthy. And so I'm pretty comfortable with where we're at and where folks who might be stepping up in the future are at.
Second question, I appreciate this tradition that an outgoing leader would stay neutral during the leadership race, but of course your husband, Lou, is quite active at Politico, was before you were in elective office. Given the perception that there might be, if the leader's husband is actively campaigning, are there any limits, or have you had any discussions with Lou about whether he can or cannot do any organizing for a leadership candidate?
Oh, you know, it's so much fun to have those conversations where you tell your spouse what they can do. I'm sure you've had them, and it's really fun. Anyway, I believe that you know, in the interest of ensuring the most balanced and objective of processes, everyone in my family is going to vote in the leadership race, but do so on the basis of a secret ballot.
Thanks, Jason. We'll go to our next caller. Emily, please state your name and outlet.
Hi, thanks. Emily Mertz, Global News. Can you hear me okay?
You sure can, yep.
Okay, yeah, I was just wondering if there's something about serving in politics, maybe even as leader or as premier, that you'd like Albertans to know about.
Well, I mean, I think, as I say, that's a really good question. You know, even when I first got involved in politics, people had a tendency to dismiss politicians as, you know, being perhaps a bit self-interested. And, you know, having, prior to going into politics, having been a lawyer, I had this history of choosing professions that people love to, you know, look down their nose at. But I will say this, that, and I, you know, sort of referenced it in my remarks. I grew up being told that politics could be very noble. And I think it should be. And I think that, you know, certainly I've tried my best to maintain that. Not everyone would agree that I've succeeded, but I do think it is important to understand that there's sacrifice in it, and that and to give most folks, even those who don't agree with you, the benefit of the doubt. Public service is a challenge, but it is also incredibly rewarding. And I don't mean rewarding in terms of the old school, oh yeah, now I have contacts, but rewarding in terms of making the kind of change that you care about. And so, you know, I grew up believing that serving your community is a noble choice, and I still believe that. And I think it's important that people who are thinking about getting involved in politics know that it's okay to believe that, and do believe that, because we're nowhere if we don't have people who care about serving within our democracy.
Do you have a follow-up, Emily?
I do, and Rachel led so well into it, actually. What are your feelings about the state of politics right now, and partisanship, divisiveness? Are you hopeful? Can we be hopeful?
You know, I mean, listen, I think that, you know, politics, it ebbs and flows. And I think it's fair to say that here in Alberta, in Canada, and honestly across much of the world, people have been confronting challenges that are pretty unprecedented and pretty hard. And so we've seen that reflected in terms of how people approach politics and the nature of our debate. And so I hope that we're soon in a place where people move from asking, what do I get from this, and back to that place where they say, what cool thing can we do together for tomorrow? And I think that politics moves back and forth from the questions people ask themselves. And but I think we're at our best when we talk about what cool things can we do together to make things better for tomorrow.
Thanks, Emily. We'll go to our next caller. Carrie, your line should be open.
Hi, I just want to follow up a little bit on that. You can be a little bit more clear. Are you done with elected politics for good?
Well, I think the key thing is this. I have no intention of running federally, and I believe I am done elected politics for good, subject to what I've said, which is that I've made no decisions about how long I will stay in my position as the MLA for Edmonton Strathcona. It's a beautiful community. It's a very wonderful, lovely place to represent. And of course, as I've said, I intend to serve out my time as leader, leading the caucus through the next session, and doing whatever I can to support the leader who is selected by the members of our party.
Is there a chance then that you might run in the next election as an MLA?
There is certainly a chance, and there's a chance that I might not.
Thanks, Carrie.
In the next election, where do you think the party would be best positioned to win? Should it be coming at this more from the left, the center, the right? Where you've been both winner and a loser on the provincial stage, what do you think the party needs to do next time?
I think that we need to continue talking to Albertans and listening to Albertans and hearing from them about what their priorities are. I think we've made great progress in that area. And I think that through this leadership race, the folks who come forward will have that conversation about what they see as best for Alberta, as well as best for the party, to convince Albertans to cast their ballot for us. And I think that that is a conversation that is best had by the folks that are looking to lead the party forward.
Thanks, Carrie. We'll just do one more quick pass for questions in the room.
What would you say to Albertans today? What's your, not your final message, but what would you say to Albertans?
Most of what I've already said. I would just say again, thank you so much for the privilege to serve. It's been wonderful. Yeah. And I'm sorry, Michelle? Yeah.
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to be a little more clear about what Lou's intentions are. Is he going to be managing a campaign?
No.
None whatsoever?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So one more question from the. So if you or any member of your family still have a Notley crew t-shirt?
You know, do you have one?
It's really beaten.
Yeah, they're so beaten up. You know, we have, as I say, we have to probably do another run of those.
Okay, I think we are pretty good. Yep, thanks everyone for coming out. We appreciate it.
Thank you so
That
much.
concludes our press conference for today.
All right, let us go.